The problem is habitual thought, habitually thinking a certain way. When you are born, you learn in a couple of ways. You learn by what the environment teaches you, the ways in which your parents give you idea structures, verbally, physical clues, as well as psychically. Now, if you look at the way it works, okay, you have these neurons. A pattern has to be set up in there. And then from one neuron to another, that's how the electrical impulses travel. Well, your thoughts are electrical impulses. One of the things we do, if we see something that in any way resembles something else, one of the things we will do is immediately associate. It's like a computer. A computer goes on what's in it. It doesn't think. It doesn't really come up with something different and new. It comes up with what has already been programmed. This is a representation of the way the brain functions. So, now we have this repetitive thing in play. You'll ask people sometimes, well, why do you believe that? And they'll say, well, I don't know, I just believe it. I just think it. Well, to a person like me, that's not good enough. It's not good enough for myself. Okay? Just because I think it is not good enough. For some reason, it has been that being thoughtful is the right thing to do. The truth is the right thing for myself. I feel liberated, I feel good when that happens. Some people, that is not true. That just isn't true. We want it the way we want it. So we never move, we never grow, we never change. And if you cannot grow, and I'm just talking about this from a matter of intelligent thought. If you have not grown from the time emotionally from the time you were 2 or 3 years old, there's something wrong with that picture. When you are 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years old, there's something wrong with that picture. So, here's the point. You cannot change it by dealing with the thought. The thoughts are only a byproduct of the mechanism. So you cannot change it by trying to change the thought. Okay? It's like if you have a hole in the dike and you're running around with pails trying to get enough water to stop it from flooding the town. Well, the solution is to fill the hole in the dike. And that way you don't have to run around with all these pails, and you probably never have enough pails.
Explain the difference between thinking and having thoughts.
Okay. Thinking is a conscious process. Having thoughts is automatic.
What would they look like an example?
Something you always do. That's what it would look like. The thought you always have. The same pattern.
To actively think about something happens in a different way.
And yes, and look at other possibilities and probabilities. This is thinking. This is an expanding process.
And does it feel a certain way? How will I know when I'm actually, thinking or having thoughts?
You know. It's like saying, how do I know when I'm having a headache? When you research something, you're thinking. You're adding other elements, and you're looking at those elements and seeing what does it say. Okay? When you are just having thoughts, you're just reacting. I have an emotional reaction. Okay, well, that's this and this and this and this, and...
But it's not necessarily coupled to an emotional reaction, but that's one of the
I would say
outstanding ways, or it usually is.
To just have thoughts, it is necessarily to some experience in the past. I would say that it is. That's the way it automatically happens. So, rather than deal with the thought, then we have to deal with the mechanism, because it is the mechanism that changes it. It is the mechanism that provides it. And see, right now I'm introducing an element of thinking. It is the mechanism that provides it, so therefore, to stop it, you have to deal with the mechanism as opposed to the outcome of the mechanism. That's why the technique that we've given you is important, because you see, it is a matter of energy, and everything is a matter of energy. The automatic thought process is a matter of energy. You can feel this in your body by the automatic emotional reactions that you have. The automatic emotional things that you have, that's energy. That's the energy that's going to accompany this thought. If you liberate the energy that is a result of the mechanism, then you free the mechanism. If the energy runs around a circuit like that, and in this circuit comes emotions, thoughts, pretty much all the time, same kind of thought, same kind of feeling, what you're experiencing is automatic. Now what you have to do is disentangle that so that it flows like so. And that frees you to think differently, to bring in other elements. Okay? But even that is a result. Thinking, bringing in new elements, is a result of having freed the energy. So, how do we stop it from doing this? First off, you have to pay attention to the elements of it. Feeling. Those feelings are caught in a particular place in your body. Relax. When you relax, you feel that energy begin to move. You begin to change. Something begins to change. You see it differently if you let go of what you're thinking about. But see, you have to allow that flow to happen even in your thoughts. All of a sudden you'll find, if you have done it correctly, you will begin to feel better. Now listen to this very carefully once again. Flowing energy feels good. When you don't feel good, it's because the energy is not flowing. Therefore, the energy is stagnant. It's stagnant. Water, when it's stagnant, becomes polluted. It has to flow, to purify, to cleanse itself, to change. The law of fluids is true for all fluids. Okay? The law of fluids is true for all fluids. From the word fluid, the word flow. Okay? It's true. Okay? So now, the solution is very simple. Again, you go to that place where you feel the tension, you feel the anger, you feel whatever that is you feel. Relax, allow it to move. Once you relax and it starts to move, it starts to feel better. And there'll be times when you will feel it moving up the body, which is what it's supposed to do. The way it's supposed to react, it's supposed to flow in its natural beds, just like water flows in its natural bed. As it flows, you find it moving up into your higher centers, the higher centers in the body. So you begin to feed the higher centers, the more non-physical centers, the more places where the physical is not so important, but other things become more important. Higher laws become more important. Okay? Once this happens, then the recognition is yours. See, the thing is that no one can tell you, or no one can touch you and make it happen for you. Well, that's not altogether true. It can give you a glimpse. The enlightenment process is because I recognize something myself. I see the truth in it. Now, in order for me to see what is true, I cannot stand to the right or to the left. I have to stand in the middle. I must be objective. I must look at the parts and see what is happening, not what I assume is happening, but what is happening. If you, let's just say you were bullied as a child, you can't tell the difference between when somebody is bullying you and when they're simply telling you the truth. You cannot think and listen at the same time. You have to listen. Pay attention to the idea. Don't get a word and take off on that word, because that is an automatic response. You hear the word and zoom, I'm off out here. So we never hear the concept. We never hear the idea. When you are taught to read, some people recite words. When you're taught to read ideas. To see a whole sentence. To see the whole sentence, because in that sentence is the information. So what we had was a person responding to something that wasn't true. But what you look at is that, oh, I was doing this out of the automatic mechanism. Therefore, I go to the technique to change the mechanism. Because if I don't change the mechanism, what's going to happen out here is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. So it is the mechanism. It is being objective. Did I tell you about my experience with the idea of gravity?
Yes.
I did. Okay. The main point of that idea, again, is it was bothering me that this just didn't sound right, because the law of fluids wasn't working, and it works. So what I had to stop and say, well, wait a minute, I'm holding on to something they're saying and trying to answer the question from off of that base. Let that go, and the answer was absolutely clear. Absolutely clear. This is an example. It doesn't matter what in that term. It doesn't matter why. The mechanism matters to get that out of the way so that you can see clearly. So you can answer a question. Okay? I hear people all the time say, well, science is I just don't know how to deal with that. I just can't understand that. One of the things I found as a teacher is that they weren't understanding that because they were constantly saying, I don't understand that, when it was being explained. That doesn't mean, no. Fear was happening. Unsteadiness, unsureness was happening. Therefore, they could not see past that. Therefore, it had to be let go. If you let go, you see. But you have to feel secure enough to let go. You have to be secure even in your insecurity. You have to trust. It's called faith. Okay? You have to have faith that you're going to get it, that you're going to understand it, and that changes things. That changes things. Objectivity. To be objective. Some people say that you can't. Well, though obviously those are people who have never done it, who've never been objective, therefore they can't. All human beings can. Someone said to me about that gravity thing, I use that as another example, and their response to me was weird. Say, yeah, you could do that because you're a genius. It's like, are you nuts? There's no such thing as genius. What I'm saying is that anyone can do anything if they get out of their own way. No human being is more intelligent than another. Intelligence is not that kind of quality. We can use it. Why do you think there are some little children who come in and become prodigies at pianos and things like that? It's not that they're genius. It's just that they don't get in the way. They just look at it and they understand it and go, oh, this is the way you do this. Okay. And we go, oh my God, a prodigy? No, just someone who got out of their own way, or who was never in their own way because they were children. The whole idea is that we can do anything once we learn to think. I like to use a lot of scientific material because they give body to law, the law of thinking. There's an idea that is being tossed around about dark matter, and it's probably being more and more accepted now. Now, the point of this is, don't get caught up in the idea of dark matter. Don't get caught up in the term. See, we can automatically assume it's dark matter. Well, it can't be dark because you can see dark. You can't see this. So, but understand that the words are just there to imply something. How do we come to that conclusion that there's something there? Well, what you have to do is you have to think bigger, 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 bigger. And you have to think about your environment. And I don't mean just your environment of your neighborhood or people right next to you, but you have to begin to think of your environment, the whole environment, the larger environment, the laws. And you look at, and we all had in schools things about the planets. Well, we look at the planets, and the core of the rocky planets are closer to the sun. They travel at one speed. The gaseous planets farther out, and they travel at a different speed. Therefore, the effects of gravity are different. And they are different because each one is traveling at a different speed. So the attachment to the sun is different. But then as we got our telescopes together and we began to look at galaxies, and we thought the same would be true of how star systems, the ones on the outer edge, would travel at a different speed than the ones closer to the center, or closer to the black hole at the center. Well, we found out that's not true. That the ones in the center and the ones on the edge travel at the same speed. It's like, wait a minute, that's not possible. Now see, you have a problem. Okay. The problem is being set up, or the situation is being set up. The first problem is, you look at it and you say, that's not possible, when it's saying, I am. Okay? It's like looking at another person and that person saying to you, well, no, that's not what I meant. I meant this. Oh, yes, you did. It's the same thing, you see. It's setting up a problem. Instead of, let's see what this says. Now, in order for that to happen, the amount of mass has to be greater than they originally supposed. Well, you look at this whole thing and you figure out the mass in it, and you say, well, there's just not enough mass to make the outside go at the same speed as the inside. That's just not possible. So we say there must be something else there. Let's call it dark matter. Well, I would say, I don't know what you call it, but it's there. Because the idea of dark matter gives another impression and is further misleading. Well, how do we know something else is there? Because as we look at light coming from behind that galaxy from another galaxy, we notice that it curves. There is other mass there. That's the only way this could happen. All right? So all I'm saying to you now, this is thinking. The other was having a thought. It couldn't be. Okay? That's having a thought. Someone says, wait a minute, something is happening here. What is it? See, we don't always have to know what it is. We have to know what it's not. It's not your assumption. Oh, I don't know what it is. You know that old joke? What is this? I don't know, but here it comes again. Okay. You follow? We don't always have to have the answer of the particular. That is an automatic process. I gotta define this. Whether you think the thought of definition or not, the habit is define. Now we take that same process and apply it to our everyday life. What is this? What are they saying? How is this working? What does this mean? When you are having an automatic thought, you define for others what they mean. You can't do that. You have to look at them and see. What is it? What are you saying? I have to listen and say, what? What are you saying to me? I have to hear your words. I have to look at your body language. I have to listen to the inflection in what you're saying. Wait a minute. What's going on here? Why didn't I hear that? What was I doing? What was my base assumption? See, because this whole thing is about opening the mind, about opening up to new and different things, to greater law. And once we're open to greater law, the minor things don't mean so much anymore. Or they don't mean the same thing anymore. So now we are free to think. Now, we have to understand what this is about. This assemblage has always been about the liberation of all humanity. This means you. That's what it has been about. That has been my intention the whole time. I have held that intention, no matter what the gravity of the people around me brought. No matter what they brought, no matter all their stuff, all their insanity, all their madness, no matter what they brought, no, I will not. I will not participate in that. This is to help you get rid of that bullshit that you just brought to me. Okay? That's what this is about. What we're accustomed to habitually is someone helping us continue that process. This is about stopping that process. And what we have to understand about that stopping that process is a painful thing. And part of the pain of it is one of the things I realized that night. Realizing what a fool I've made of myself all my life. By the things I did and the ways that I presented myself to people and the ways in which I assumed I knew what was going on and it's like, oh my God. See, that's one of the things that makes you humble. And when I say humble, you go, one must recognize their ignorance and go, oh man. Well, we're certainly not going to live like that anymore. Not going to make that mistake again. So here I am, guys. I'm just who I am. Now, just who I am is I don't have to pretend to know this, that, or the other. Here I am. I'm not going to bring to the party all this insecurity, doubt, fear. What I bring to the party is a solution to the problem, if you will allow. But if you don't allow, that's okay too. Then I understand that's what you want to do. Cool. Now I'm talking about this in terms of your jobs and stuff, because you're not there to teach them, to teach the world. You're just there to do a job. You're there to do, the boss says, this is what I want done, and you say, are you going to give me a check for doing that? He says, yeah. You say, okay, here you go. There you go. But I am firm in my center about who I am. That's what I'm saying about this. The gravity here is firm in what it's here to do. So it's not going to play any of those games. It's going to hold firm and tell you, bam. And if your face gets broken, it's because you allowed your face to be broken. Because you didn't hear and did not apply. And if you didn't hear and didn't apply, and when the truth is just said to you, here you go. Bam. Oh, now I'm embarrassed. Well, yeah. Now answer the question. Why are you embarrassed? What habitual thing were you doing that caused you to be embarrassed? See, this is the process. Now we are thinking. Make sense to you? We are thinking now. Otherwise, we are just reacting to the same thing that we have been reacting to for 50 years. That doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense. Now, let's talk about the extent of one's intelligence and one's being. The extent of that is forever. You are forever. For however is ever. Okay. There's no number on that. Okay. There's no number. All right. Forever. So don't look for a number. As long as there's an ever, you are. All right? So, your learning process about you goes on this amount of time. This amount of time. Your process goes on for that amount of time. What now? You answer this question, what is the next question? The next question of what is most dear and what does that mean? Relationships. I have loved ones, I have mothers, fathers, I have children, I have whatever. What is the truth about that, the gravity of that? What is the truth about the gravity of that? How much of that is true as a spiritual being or as a being, and how much of that is true based on insecurity? The insecurity that develops between mother and child at birth and family. How much of that happens because parents take care of children? And in the care of children, if you never give them the doorway to expand to become adults, then that carries with them always. They're always looking for mom and dad and this kind of thing. Do you ever notice how at a particular point, say in around puberty, kids start to argue with their parents and just become disgusting little creatures? Okay. You ever notice how that becomes the way they relate? 30 years later, they're still arguing. Why? Because we have an automatic response attitude. You are my child. And as long as you're my child, you will do this. No, hell no. Well, see, I don't have to argue with you about it. I'm just going to be who I am. I'm going to be an adult because I am an adult. Now, we don't have to argue. You can say whatever it is you have to say. Okay. Okay. But I'm not. See, that is an automatic process that we are working with. An automatic process. So in order to change that process, to expand our world. So we have to expand our world beyond the relationship. Then we look at something else, maybe our gender or our race. Our world has to expand beyond that. Our world has to expand beyond our race or our gender, because we will often, and if you look at it, make problems based upon our race and our gender where there is no problem. We'll say this is racism, or this is, what do you call it? Huh? Sexism. Or whatever all the isms are. This is fatism, or this is skinnyism, or whatever all those things are we do. We have to go beyond that. And then we come down to, well, this human being. I'm a human being. Really? What does that mean? I would prefer to say, as opposed to a human being, I am a human becoming. Human being implies a state of being stagnant. Stagnatism. I just made up a brand new word. Okay. Implies stagnant. I am a human becoming. Then beyond, I am human. No, wait. Because how often do you hear people say, well, I'm only human? That's an excuse for not wanting to live up to the fact that I screwed up. Well, I'm only human. Really? I say you're God. And what does that mean? That means forever. So, what you are saying is, I became a victim of my habitual thought process, and I did this, and I made this decision, and now I'm not going to cop to making that decision. I'm not going to be responsible to that. Therefore, I'm only human. No. Can you say, I apologize. I was wrong. To me and to you. That's not going to happen again. And we expand, and we expand, and we expand, and we expand, and we expand. I saw something the other night, I think on Bill Maher. They went through the South asking these people about president and the state of the economy. And here's people saying, you know, I don't care if I go broke or if my family starves to death, I can't vote for that man. And the question was, why not? Say, 'cause he's a half-breed. What? Okay, I mean, you understand what I'm saying here? Here's a person saying, I will die and my whole family will die. And the reason I'm not going to vote for this person is because he's a half-breed. Well, what I'm not paying attention to is a rational process. Another guy says, well, I don't know who to vote for because the Republicans, they're for the rich and the Democrats are for the niggers. Now, who's for me? It's like, ay, 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 ay. You see what I'm saying? Somebody says, well, God is going to come in somebody's head and tell them what to do. Here we are. You see how far we are away from that whole thing of godliness. We're in these itty-bitty little worlds, tiny, teeny, tiny little worlds, when there is an entire universe. There are universes for us to explore in terms of law, universal law. Those universal laws apply within ourselves. Intelligence. We all have it. To what degree will we use it? To what degree will we use it? That's the question. Now see, if I see myself as a human being, that limits the degree to which I will utilize my intelligence. Because I'm only human. We strung him up. Oh, gosh darn, we made a mistake. I'm only human. What is that? Okay. Look at the numbers of people that we've had to let off of death row because somebody framed them. Well, shucks. We're only human. We've had to let them go because finally somebody says, wait a minute. Let's do the right thing here. We didn't have this, we didn't have this, or this says this says the other. Well, see, we're acting as a human being. Now we have to act as God, which is a balance of all things. We have to look at the truth and base our decisions upon what that truth is. When we do that, we become whole, or we become holy. When we do that. Okay. We might say, but I can't do this because of this, that, or the other. Well, that's in that individual's mind. You can't do that for whatever reason. You can't do that. But it doesn't change the fact you are not reaching your full potential as what you really are. We want to make that God thing more than us, more than what we are. It is what we are. That is how we can reach that potential. And we are great. We're absolutely incredible warriors if we will but behave like it, if we will but take responsibility. if we would but take responsibility and follow the rules. See, when I say there's no exception, you are here, you're paying attention to what is being said. You are here because I assume that you want to hear what is being said. And what is being said is just laying out a process. And if something else distracts you in here, the question is, why? Why? Are you then now on task? Or are you someplace else? It doesn't matter why. What we ultimately learn, when I say why is the answer to the question why I didn't hear what was being said. What was I doing? Now the other answer, why? Why did I do that? Okay? Why am I making any excuse? You see, you have to be on point. This is for real. We have become so accustomed to being scattered. Over here, over there, over there. We have to understand. If you look at athletics, really people who are really very good and very successful at what they do, they stay on point. So the idea here is about success, about succeeding at what you do. You can put anything in there, whether it's athletics or education or making a cake, it doesn't matter. To be successful, you have to stay on point. We have begun to accept okay for success. Well, it's just okay. We used to say something when I was in the military. That's close enough for government work. Well, if you're being shot at and you're shooting at somebody, that's not okay. That's not close enough for government work. You got to hit him. Okay? If you want to survive, if that's what you want, you follow what I'm saying here. Okay. So now we come back to the simplest thing. That technique. And why that technique. You see, why has been explained. We've explained that it is to break a habit. See, even if you just pause for a moment, that pausing for a moment has started to eat into the automatic mechanism of the technique. Even when you stop and go, you've actually paused. You made a little chip. And the more times you do it, you make a chip, a chip, a chip, a chip, a chip. You may have to do that technique 50 times in 10 minutes. Do it. If being at peace is important to you. Let's look at something. Our illnesses. Our illnesses relate directly to our tensions. As a young person, and even as an older person, this right here, for me, was important. My heart. In this area where I felt all these things. As a result, I've been chopped open, I've been dug around in there, I don't know how many times. I've got all kinds of problems with the heart because that's where the energy stagnated. Wasn't willing to let that go. So if you look at it, okay, sometimes you think about the problems of how you perceive yourself sexually, and it happens in the sexual organs. It happens in the brain. It happens anywhere you stagnate this energy. Anywhere you stagnate this energy. So, it's not saying that it's the sole thing, but what you have in your genes is the potential for these things. So when you have the potential and you get this energy moving in that circular manner in that where those genes are going to activate. So we can look at it as not a mystical thing. It's not mystical. I do not believe in mysticism. I don't believe in magic. There's a reason for everything. That is the nature of this universe. We just don't want to hear the reason. Even Pat Roberts shocked me. His energy stopped. Pat says, legalize marijuana. I almost fainted. Pat Roberts. It's like, is this an alternative universe? What? A reasonable thought process in the midst of the darkness of other processes. Open it up. Are we sheep? Is that what we are? Well, that is only defined by our behavior. Are we afraid? Is that what we are? Are we fearful individuals? What do you got to lose? Okay, now let's go back, take that step back. What is this about? Peace. Whose peace? Your peace. It's about being able to feel love. It's about being able to use my intelligence to the max. There is no max, so all that's being said about this technique and these thoughts is about the liberation so that this can be experienced. So that I can grow up and be God. So that I can grow up and not carry around these pianos on my back. That's what this is about. The mind is out of control. How important is your peace to you? How important? That is the question. That is the question. If that question is not answered because something else catches my attention, then it's not important. We're like the commercial. You ever see the commercial of Puss in Boots? Where he comes out and says, I am Puss in Boots. I will protect you. I will not be distracted. And somebody shines a light and he's let's call it the Puss in Boots syndrome. Okay. Let me do this, let me do that. Oh, yeah, I hear. No, you don't. All I'm saying is we have to trim things down to the point where we are one-pointed. We want to know, why is it we do not succeed as much as we would like to in many things in life? Let's look at it. We are quite successful in creating chaos. Quite successful in creating chaos, disruption in our life. Why? Because we are focused in chaos and distraction. A part of the idea of creating, quote, magic, or creating the magic of the universe is focus. It happens when you can hold a thought without any other thought interfering. Now we're creating something different. But when your life is chaotic, it's because you're focused in chaos. Your brain just goes, this, that. Focus. When you listen to great athletes and they talk about being in the zone, when they're in the zone, you see a guy go up. There's no way he could do this. Catch a ball with one hand between 3 or 4 other guys, come down, drop both feet in bounds, and hold on to the ball. And you go, damn, how do you do that? One-pointedness. When you are one-pointed, the magic happens. The magic happens because you are focused. You're focused in succeeding at what you're doing, not what you are not doing. You're focused in what I need to do as opposed to what should be. And when you're focused like that, oh, well, this isn't that, isn't. Look at the focus. How are you going to be at peace when you don't utilize the law? When you don't utilize it. You utilize it, but in the wrong way. So it's being created, just like it should be. But until we wake up and stop that, it's going to continue, unless we wake up. That's the way it goes. What do you want? Do you want peace? You want to live in peace? You want things around you pretty cool? I say pretty cool because one of the things you understand, if you look at the laws of the universe, it's circular. There are times for peace, and there are times that it will not be so peaceful. The same thing that created this place you live, this place you call Earth, will destroy it. That's the way it goes. Who knows when that's going to be? That meteor could be coming day after tomorrow. Blam! There's a commercial now that says the Mayan calendar predicts that in 2012 that the poles are going to reverse, and that means we will all be thrown into space. What good is your retirement fund? It's funny. It's just funny to me, you know. So they really don't realize how close they are to the truth. I'm not saying 2012, but it could be any minute now, you know. Or it could be 1 billion years. I don't know. But what I do know is this. According to the laws of the universe, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. There was a process in this whole thing being created. A process. If you look at the big expansion, what happened? Here's another funny thing about it. If you look at the Bible, it said something like, I'm paraphrasing because I'm old, I don't remember exactly. Let there be light. Well, in the beginning, at that moment, all there was is light. That's it. That was it. As time happened, as part of the light cooled, it became the building blocks of the universe. Everything is light. You have microwaves, they're light. Okay? Radio waves are light. Everything is a cooled down version of the first. Let there be light. There was light. Okay. From that light, let's call that temperature 1. Let's call it temperature 2. It cooled down into the building blocks of basic elements, hydrogen. Let's say at temperature 2, let's just say, I'm not saying these are the temperatures, I'm giving you an example. At 2, those things cooled down enough to come together. The movement was slowed down enough so that it became hydrogen. And enough of these came together. All of a sudden the process was created again, that on a smaller scale, and a star was born. I don't mean Judy Garland either, but you guys remember Judy Garland? You're older than I thought you were. A star was born. And in that star, as it began to heat and became larger and larger, and the elements of hydrogen kept running around and slamming into each other, another electron was added. And then helium was born. And on and on and on. Now we have this thing of all these elements, and they're boiling around, and all of a sudden, now all these elements are spread out over the universe. I'm not just saying this is one star, now I'm saying this is many things spread out. So we have the basic building blocks of planets and of people and of things. Now these things congeal. The gravity of them pulls it together, and these things come together and begin to form dust, and the dust comes together and begins to form rock, and the rocks hit together and become meteors, and they hit together, and before you know it, you got a planet. All I'm saying to you, you don't have to remember all that. What you have to remember is that it is a process. And the same way they hit together and became larger and larger, they'll hit together and go again and become smaller again. Living and dying are part of the order and the process of this universe. We have to understand that law. If we really get the understanding of the law of death, really get it, all the things that we have created, all the lies that we have created, begin to break down. Because now we realize, I haven't lived. Now you have to live. If we really understand it. Now I have to live. I had a discussion with a couple of people that went on a trek. They said, we're tired of just being, now we got to do something. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, we were just being. No, you weren't. You were out there screwing around. Just being means the depth of the moment, without pretense at being something else. It's the depth of the moment. It doesn't mean you go off and lollygag. Just being, I can just be just sitting here. Or I can just be when I'm doing my job. Or whatever. It's the state of consciousness that I'm in. It's the depth of the experience. The depth, I'm in it totally. I'm in it totally, but I'm not of it. I'm in it totally in what I'm doing. This process about your life, you have to be in it totally. You have to be being it. You have to be in it totally. You don't have time. Because the moment, this is the infinite moment. This moment leads to eternity, leads to forever. So doing what I need to do in this moment is my being it, and being it, it explodes into something else, into something greater, because I have added the energy or allowed the energy to happen that explodes me. It's like that star exploding and being something, becoming the elements that seed the universe. It is the same thing. That is what must happen. Yes.
Who am I am in love. Light was represented always with that?
I am. With the I am.
That came without
I am the light. Yeah.
because there was just something to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see, it must be repeated over and over again because it is the law, and that's why I told you that story. In the beginning, before the beginning, the great Mother God slept. And in a moment, a flash, a movement, a shadow, I am. The awakening, the awakening. So the law of the awakening is the same in this moment as it ever was. When you awaken out of the darkness because you don't know who you are, and you realize you don't know who you are, the light happens, unless you realize you don't know who you are and you add that negative crap to it. I don't know who I am. Allow the light happens. Now you can find out who you are. But you can't find out until you stop knowing. And I don't mean the linear words of knowing. I mean the behaviors, the automatic response behaviors that we are guilty of. What I'm saying to you is, here's the truth. Here's what we need to do. That's all I'm saying to you. I'm not saying you do this. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're not going to do it, you can be here, but don't bother me. That's what I'm saying. It's all right. You can be anywhere you want to be. Just don't bother me with that crap. I don't want to hear it. Don't care. And I don't mean that negatively. I don't care. I just don't care. I care about this. I care about the reality and the truth of this process. I care about people going, oh my God, and finding out about who they are. I care about that light going off inside and people go, oh, yeah. I care about that. I don't care about that other crap. I don't care about making up reasons to talk to me. I don't care about that. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Because that's playing another game. That's not doing what needs to be done. That's pretending, and I don't care about pretense. I don't care. You see, if you can pretend to swim, I watch people, sometimes I'm upstairs and doing my weights and I look down on the pool and I see people stroking. And you look down and they're walking on the bottom. Well, why are you pretending to swim? I don't know. Hey, I just wonder. I'm just saying. Swim or walk, whatever. Or continue to do what you're doing. That's your business. All I'm saying in terms of this, the pretense of it doesn't mean anything to me. And that's why I go, the reality of it. It has been explained to us what we need to do and why we need to do it. There should be no question. This is to be applied from now on, every moment, because it's about your awakening, your understanding. You have to create your own big. You don't create it, you let it happen by doing the right thing. It's like dynamite. You just lit the fuse, the explosion happens. If you light the fuse, the explosion will happen. So light it. And you light it by doing the technique to free you from the automatic process. To be freed from it. You have to pay attention. So it's a matter of putting everything in perspective. Everything falling into perspective naturally. Naturally. You don't have to do anything except your technique and learn and grow from it. Learn and grow from it. But you have to hear what's being said in order to follow it, in order to do it. Someone once said, and I use that word follower brings to mind this. Someone said, well, we're followers of yours. No. This isn't that kind of game. That's the kind of game you play with these other guys, whoever they are. I'm not pretending to be a guru in that sense. I am a guru in the sense of the true meaning of the word. It just means teacher is just another word, another language. I'm just teaching. There's no, do not follow me. You remember the movie Brian? There's no place to follow. This is about law and about truth and about things that you can do to improve life. It's the Buddha. The Buddha says, all right. Somebody say police? Check it out, David. The Buddha says, here.
Oh, he's about to joke.
Huh?
It's a joke.
Oh. I'm the police. Buddha says, here's these 12 things. Now, get the hell away from me. Here's 12 things. Now we got the whole world. I'm a Buddhist. Yeah. Okay. Joshua, Jesus. He didn't go around looking for people to be in his entourage. He said, hey, here's the truth. Here's what I want to tell you. There you go. This is what I'm saying to you. Here, there you go. You don't follow me. I'm not a leader. I'm not. I am not a leader, like Charles Barkley said. I am not a role model. I'm just letting you know what I know. I'm just letting you know in a way that is the same but different from all major religions. I'm just putting it in a way where it's more understandable. I'm putting it in the way of the Western mind. One of the things that used to bug me, I used to go to these things and listen to these people, and they were Westerners speaking with an Indian accent. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know, you from Detroit. No. See, what this is honesty. This is what it is. I say a lot of things to you. I say all kinds of words. I want to keep it here and not bring it there, because there is non-reachable. If you start from where you are, it is obtainable. To start where you are inside. I can say, meditate. Of course. You should meditate. Meditate. But know that that's not going to be the end all be all. You got to come to a point where you surrender. And what I'm talking to you about is surrender. That's what I'm talking to you about. Surrender. And I'm just putting it in another way. I'm providing and pointing you toward incidents and things that will make you surrender. But if you don't surrender, that's not my fault. You follow what I'm saying? I'm saying surrender is the rule, because you come to being objective. You come to being objective. I watch I think she's called I almost said the humming guruist, the hugging guru. And I watch thousands of people sitting there. It's like, get your hands from together, open your eyes, look and listen. See, we could do that. I could have started with that. No. Eye to eye, directly across from each other. Because here is the reality of it. Now, all these people, they crawled on their hands and knees to go up and get a hug. And yes, you got a hug. I got a hug from the hugging guru. Well, I would want at least $1. You know, I mean, it made no difference.
After that particular night in my life, I was working at a convention center, and she came through there.
The hugging guru?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And all the people were there, like, well, Mother Machi's coming. People were lined up outside and taking their shoes off and washing them in the sink. And then she wanted to give everybody on the staff a hug. So we all, we went out there and we lined up. And this was after. So I got up there and I'm just standing, I'm just looking at them.
Yeah.
They start getting pissed off. Come on, get your hug. You got to get up. They were, I'm just looking at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because at that particular time, I was looking for you. So I'm looking, I'm like,
You in there.
no.
This ain't the place. Well, see, that's the thing. We want something for nothing. I want to become enlightened because I get a hug. That'll do it. Somebody once said, it was Bhagwan. When Bhagwan died, we all going to be enlightened. Well, he did. Because you killed him. You know what? We want something for nothing. That's all those people. The work is this. Now, that's my point. This is work. I'm not promising you anything except if you do the work, you'll get it. That's all I'm saying. There's a guy in Japan, for $25,000 you can get a little vial of his bath water. And that's supposed to do it. He weighed 400 pounds. What I want a vial of his greasy bath water for? I can sprinkle that on me and just get funky. What? What? No, there's a price, and that price is in the surrender to the truth. That's the deal, guys. Remember, it's not about juggling and playing with what you're thinking, but dealing with the mechanism. And how do we deal with the mechanism? Through the technique. That's how we do it. This is how we roll. All right. Thank you for your time. Peace out.